So, hello guys, welcome back to the one of the live session. So, along with us, Anish is there. Yeah. So, Anish, you can hear me, right? Yeah. Okay. Fine. Yeah, yes. So today we are going to see about um, the EBS volume. Okay. So, what is EBS volume and how to attach EBS volume and how to be connecting the EBS volume, right? So now, what is EBS volume? First of all, let's go back to the slide. And so EBS volume, Amazon EBS volume, so there are some storage volumes that you attach to EBS instances. Okay, so after you attach to the instances, and you can just use it in the same way that you would use a local drive attached to the computer. Okay, for example, to store files or install application. Okay, for example, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to have a whiteboard, and I'm going to have explain it to you like, so this is the instance. For example, this is the instance, right? This is a virtual machine. So this is kind of virtual VM. Okay, so basically, as we have seen in the before sessions, right? So what we have done, we have attached a one hard disk. So whenever we created instances, we attached one instance, attach the volume that is of 8 GB. All right. Okay, so 8 GB is the default one. If it is Linux, and if it is Windows, it's going to be a 30 GB. Okay, this is kind of a volume, and which is the hard disk, right? So what are we going to do today is that, so we're going to attach the additional volume. Okay, additional volume of a additional size of a disk space. It's kind of hard disk space, right? So what are we going to do today is that, we're going to create such a volume. Okay, so in order to do that one, I'm going to create a new instance. So right now I have already have one instance. That instance is called Linux VM, right? So now I'm going to do a launch instance. Okay, so I'm going to create a launch instance. I'm going to create a, okay, EBS. I'm going to give EBS volume, okay, instance. Okay, so it's a EBS volume. Uh, uh, all right. Okay, so EBS volume instance. Okay, so I'm going to choose Amazon Linux. It doesn't matter whichever the voice is going to be. All right. So now I'm going to create the instance with a t2.micro. Okay, it's going to be a free instance. All right, so I'm going to create a key pair. Key pair is not required. Okay, so anyways, I'm going to use any kind of a existing key pair if you want to use it, but you can also proceed with without using a key pair. So a key pair is primarily used whenever you wanted to connect through SSH client, right? So that's the primary usage. Right now, you don't need any kind of a key pair, right? So now set networking settings, I'm leaving it as a default. Okay, so the SSH traffic, I'm allowing only SSH traffic, which is 80 port 22. So rest everything I'm not enabling it. Okay, so this particular security group, it has only a SSH port is enabled. Okay, so we already discussed about what is SSH group in the previous session. So we are going to be discussing the rest of the things later. So now, as you can see here, this is the configuring storage. Okay, so the configuring storage is nothing but I configure storage is nothing but the this is the 8 GB of our default storage. Okay, so will be attached to the instance. For example, if you're creating instance, as I mentioned with you here, okay, so now this is the VM. Okay, the 8 GB will be default, by default it will be attached to the instance. Okay, so 30 GB for 30 GB for a Linux machine. Okay, so I don't want it to go for the Linux machine now. I'm going to create a Windows machine. So if you, what happen if you don't give any kind of a volume and you're trying to launch it? Okay, so I think it's taken a default one, default 8 GB. All right, so I don't want to show that, so if it is a 7 GB or something like that, I wanted to be attaching, and I wanted to show you that, how much volume it has been attached. So for now, okay, the security group is creating. I think it is taking some time to create it. Okay, so it is just trying to launch an instance. Um, okay, so meanwhile, what I'm going to do is that, I'm going to open another session. Okay, so I'm going to be opening another session, and I'm going to show you about how much is the instance volume is been created with. Okay, so by default it must have been created with a 8 GB of volume, because it's taking a default. So what we can do is I'm going to check the same instances. Okay, so sorry about this one, and it's taking a lot of time to load. Okay, I'm going to close some of the applications and all right. So I think it's been opened now. So okay, so this instance launched this one, and so you can see here, under the EBS volume, okay, under the volumes, right? Elastic Block Storage. What is EBS? EBS is a block storage, which is the hard disk, right? So I'm going to click on these volumes. I'm going to see that, how much is the volume has been created. Okay, so what is the how much the volume it has got created. So as you can see here, so we have been created with the two volumes. Right. So we have been created with two instances. So a couple of volumes will be by default would have been created. So this is the instance which has been still loading. Okay, let me just close some of the things so that so my system will get speed up probably. All right. Okay. So now if you can see the instances, so one instance EBS volume instance is already there. Okay, let's go and check the EBS volumes. Okay, so EBS volume would have been created with the two EBS volumes. Right. So now, so it's still loading and it is slowly booting up. Okay, so both the machines is having a 8 GB of volume. Okay, so if you can see here, if you can scroll the to the right, as you can see here, so there are two volumes is there. One is the volume for Linux VM. Okay, so another volume is for EBS volume instance, right? So what are we going to do is that so we are going to be okay. So as I mentioned with you over here, so this is the one volume. This is a Linux virtual machine instance, and this is the 8 GB of volume, and then this is the additional volume is being created, right? So additional volume we are going to be attaching. So now we are going to choose how much volume we can be creating, and that is going to be attaching. So prior to that, we are going to see that what is where is our instance is being created. For example, let's go for instances. As you can see here, so we have already seen, we have already seen that so what is the availability zone. So we have seen that what is the region. Now we are going to see about availability zone. What is availability zone? Okay, so see here. So we are having a AP South 1 and AP South 1B, right? So the reason why we are getting AP South 1B is that so we are in the Mumbai region. Mumbai region name, if you can see this one, Mumbai region is the having the the region name. Region name is Mumbai and region ID is going to be region ID, right? So it's going to be AP South 1. All right. So because you're accessing from AP South 1 and you'll be getting the availability zone of AP South 1B. Okay. So what is the AP South 1B? AP South 1B is nothing but the availability zone inside the region. For example, we are in the India. For example, I'm going to, if I want to write it here. So I'm in Indian region. Okay. This is the India region. So inside that there are three different data centers are there right now, right? So AP South 1A, AP South 1B, and OEP South 1C. Okay, so whenever you are creating the instances, this availability zone will be choosing by default wherever the subnet is being resides. Okay, I'm going to show it to you right now. It's been created with AP AP South. Okay, 1B. Right. So this is the AP South 1B region. It is got created. Okay. Now let's consider this AP South 1A. Okay. So 1A, 1A and 1C. All right. So 1C. Right. So this is the AP South 1B and 1A and AP South 1E, 1E and 1C respectively. So now let's go back and see, check that, how it is got created. Okay, so now it's got created with the episode 1B, right? So the reason why I'm telling you the region wise is that, okay, so whenever you're creating a EBS volume, this particular region, this particular available zone is very important. So you need to create the additional volume. For example, if you're going here, so this is the virtual machine. Okay, so this 8 GB is already created, so it's been attached to the volume, attached to this instance. Now we have to create this volume, additional volume of, let's say for example 20 GB. It must be attached to the same availability zone. Okay, so because this volume is there in 1B, so the same volume has to be created in 1B, then only you will be able to attach to the VM. Alright, so now let's go back and create a volume. Okay, let's go back to the instances. Okay, so let's go back to the volumes. Okay, this is what called EBS volume under images. These are EBS volumes, right? So now create a volume. Let's click on create volume. Alright, so now I'm going to give 20 GB, okay, as a volume size. So as you can see here, availability zone. Okay, so as I mentioned with you previously, so in the Indian region, okay, in the Asia Pacific Mumbai region, which is the Indian region, so I have a three availability zones. Okay, so AP South 1A, AP South 1B, and AP South 1C. These are all the data centers. Okay, so region is nothing but the collection of data centers, and AP South 1A and AP South 1B and AP South 1C is the individual data centers. Right, so these are the individual data centers. Now what I'm going to do is that I have to create the volume in the same region. Okay, for example, I'm just choosing the 1B. Okay, now I'm creating volume. Okay, for instance, okay, so just for example, so what I'm going to create, okay, so as you can see here, so this volume has been created here. Okay, so created. Okay, now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create one more volume. Okay, now the 1 GB 20 GB is got created. Okay, so 20 GB is got created, is available, right? Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create another volume in some other availability zone. Okay, for example, I'm going to create a 15 GB of volume, which is availability zone of different, it's having a 1A availability zone. Okay, let's see if you're able to attach this volume to the instance or not. Okay, so now I've created the one more volume in this availability zone. Okay, so it's got created. All right, so it's got created over here. All right, now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be creating. Okay, so now, so if you can refresh this one. Okay, I've got I've got two different volumes got created. Okay, so let me I'm going to be creating with the two different volumes got created. Um, one is 15 GB of volume, another one is 20 GB of volume. Okay, so 20 GB of volume is there in the available zone of 1B, and then 20 GB of volume, 15 GB of volume has been available in the region of episode 1A, right? So now how to attach this volume to this particular instances? Okay, right now I have one instance. Let's consider, it's kind of a EBS volume instance. Then I'm going to attach this 20 GB volume. Now what I have to do for the next step, just click on this one and then click on actions. Okay, attach volume. So if at the moment when I attach volume, okay, it's going to be telling me that instance ID. Okay, so I have to choose the instance, which instance I want to attach. The instance is going to be, okay, so because I'm just choosing the episode 1A, the instance is not listing over here. As you can see here, no matching, running or stopped instance in episode 1A, because this particular instance, but this particular volume, so whatever the volume we have just tried to attach, this 15 GB volume is been created under the AP South 1A. Okay, AP South 1A availability zone. Okay, that is the reason why it's not giving me an option to attach to this particular volume. All right, so this is the reason, that is the reason which I mentioned with you what is the availability zone and what is the purpose of choosing the availability zone. Right now, this particular option, this particular volume is not being able to attach. Now let's try with this one. Okay, so click on this one and click on attach volume. All right, so now let's go back here. As you can see here, now EBS volume instance, right? So now this is the instance which I am going to attach the volume with, because it has been created with AB South 1B availability zone. Okay, so now you understand what is region. Region is going to be Mumbai. Mumbai is nothing but Indian region. Then we have a different availability zones. Availability zone is nothing but the collection of data centers, right? Now I'm going to choosing with the running instances, which is one instance. Okay, then the device name is going to be, okay, so you can choose any device name. So device name is just a reference of the device that is going to be creating. Okay, so as part of this volume, so I'm going to choose with the slash dvsdb. All right, now before attaching to this volume, okay, click on attach. I'm going to show you something. Okay, now I'm going to instances and I'm going to EBS volume instance. Okay, and what I'm going to do is that I'm click on this one and I'm going to connect to this instance. Okay, so I'm going to connect to this instance. So now if you can click on connect. Okay, I think it's got stuck somewhere probably. So let me just see if I'm able to connect it or not. Okay, so I don't know what has happened. I think it's bounced back. Okay, so just wait a minute. Okay, I've refreshed it. Now if I can click on this one. Okay, so for now let me attach to it. Okay, let's see, because that browser is getting too much time to load it. So now this volume has been, now I've created this volume. Okay, so attach this volume. So this volume has been attached. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be click on connect. Okay, I'm going to click on connect it. I think Firefox has been blocked. Firefox prevent from this preference. I think I can just do pop-up window and allow pop-up size for. Okay, so I'm going to allow it. Now if you can click on connect, and if you can click on connect here, so it's going to be allowing the instance connection. So now as you can see here, I already attached the this volume to this particular instance, right? So now I have two volumes been attached to this particular instance. All right, so now I'm going to connect. This instance is going to be being connected. Okay, so the instance is being connected, but meanwhile we can go and see that, so how many volume has been connected to this particular instance. Okay, now as you can see here, 20 GB of volume is being connected to the instance is called, okay, so EBS volume instance, and another 8 GB of volume has been connected to the EBS volume instance. Okay, now let's go back. Okay, so this instance will be connected in a fraction of seconds. Okay, so once it is connected, we are going to check that, so whether this particular volume, how many volume is being attached. Okay, now what are we going to do is that, we're going to give lsblk is the command to check how many volume is being attached. Now as you can see here, 20 GB of volume is being attached to this particular disk, and then, okay, so and then the 8 GB of volume, which is the default volume, which is being created as part of the, as part of the OS installation, right? So we have cadets two volumes been code created, right? Now what we can do is we are going to be lsblk again. You see 20 GB is got created attached. Is the additional EBS volume is got attached. Now what are we going to do is that we are going to detach this volume and see whether this volume is been detaching or not. Okay, now how to detach this volume? Click on this volume and then click on the detach volume option. Okay, so click on detach. All right, so now this volume is detached. It doesn't mean that this volume has been deleted. All right, So now it's been detached, and then so this will be detached, but it is not, but it's not be deleted, right? Now let's go back to the terminal and just check, so whether this particular volume is been available or not. Okay, now if you can do lsblk, so we don't see this one because it is already been detached. So what is the command called lsblk? So lsblk is the command, is nothing but the list block devices. Okay, ls means list, blk means block. Okay, so because it's the block storage. Okay, so what are we going to do here, that EBS block storage, elastic block storage, right? So elastic block storage, and to check this particular command whether it is being, so mounted or not, I mean whether it's been attached or not, the command which we are going to see is going to be lsblk. Okay, total command is going to be lsblk is the command that is going to be attaching for this particular instance. Okay, now we already created this particular instance. For example, we already attached this volume instance and detached this volume instance. We have seen it. Okay, how to delete this volume? Okay, as you can see here, 15 GB of volume is not been attached to any of the instances because there is no instance is being created under this AB South 1A region, right? So that's the reason why the none of the volume has been got. We will be able to attach it. Now I'm going to delete these two volumes for the backup. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to click on this one, I'm going to click on actions, and I'm going to, okay, so I think I cannot create, okay, I cannot, I think I cannot create a delete the volume, uh, both the volumes at the same time. So let's go back and delete this volume one by one. Okay, so four detached volume. Okay, it's already detached in anyways. Okay, I'm going to be detached volume forcefully, and then, okay, because I've just detached the volume from previously, but it's also been detached forcefully. Okay, now I'm going to delete this volume. I'm going to click on this one, then I'm going to delete this volume. Now the delete option will be enabled. So that's all about, okay, so the EBS volume, how to create and how to attach and how to, how to delete. Okay, so I'm going to delete this volume as well. So it is good practice to delete all the VMs whenever it's got created. Okay, okay, nice. Okay, so still hope you understand this particular session. I'll be taking up you on the, the question and answer sessions maybe after this session. Okay, so thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you about that how to mount this EBS volume in the next session.